Okay, hey, welcome in another Teal Shirt Report podcast. Moving into episode show number 68. Man, we have made some inroads this weekend. And the Jaguars, my goodness, win another overtime game, right? They beat the Raiders in Vegas in overtime uh, a few weeks back. Jaguars pull out a 27-24 victory over the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Jaguars were anywhere from a 2 to 3 point favorite in this game. Looks like the guys in Vegas were pretty close. The line went down to 2 points, probably 2 or 3 hours before kickoff, I think. And the Jags covered it. Our source actually thought it would go the other way, but the Jaguars absolutely win the football game. Can you believe that? So a huge win because 7-4 gets you in the conversation. Not that you have to get in the conversation, but it gets you in the conversation because the Jaguars are an improving team. It's amazing how a close victory can propel all this. But it gets you in the conversation that now you should make a run to get in the playoffs. Playoffs. 7-4 is a lot better than 6-5. There's no doubt about that. 6-5, you're kind of scrambled in there with a bunch of teams, and now it's 7-4. You look like a genuine contender, even though the quarterback makes a lot of mistakes. The defensive line hasn't given us the effort all season long. But let me tell you something. I watched the game, and I really isolated on the defense, particularly in the fourth quarter, which was the huge part of the game. Now, I know Trevor had a botched play late in the first quarter that the ball flew up in the air and Trevor couldn't get the pass off, but it came out of his hand and it's either an interception or a fumble. It's kind of like a flying fumble, right? Kind of like a flying fumble. And the big defensive lineman, I'm assuming, hit pretty big guy, made the interception and scored the touchdown and got into the end zone about a yard deep in the end zone and tied the game 7-7. Wow, Trevor did not have the best day. But I'm going to say this in defense of Trevor Lawrence, that offense, and you can take it however you want to take it, but at times that offense is giving us really a glimpse of hope. In fact, that offense the Jaguars are putting out there, actually, again, the Jaguars offense is giving us glimmers that they can be pretty good. And we'll take a look at the stats here in a moment when I can get to the stats. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. By all means, go to our website at bigjreport.com. If you're watching on YouTube, we got the score plastered on the screen. Jacksonville Jaguars 27. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars 27, the Arizona Cardinals 24, the final score in overtime. Now, this game never should have gone into overtime. It never should have. The Jags should have won it in regulation, and that's a frustrating thing. Jaguars, get the ball to start the overtime. The kicker made a long kick. It was about a 51, 52-yard field goal by the kicker, Cam Little. It's a big kick. Jaguars take a 3-point lead, and then you got to depend on your defense to stop them because in overtime now, both teams have to possess the ball. And I'm going to tell you, Brissett's a pretty good player. For a backup quarterback, after the Jags game, I believe his stat line for the season, and he's been backing up. Kyler Murray, of course, has been out with an injury. I mean, Brissett has like 11 touchdown passes and only 3 interceptions. It's a pretty darn good backup. One of the plays And I will say this, the Jaguars, particularly in the fourth quarter, the pass rush was getting there some. Whether they get sacks on a play or not, the pass rush was more impressive in the fourth quarter. So I think we've had 2 weeks in a row of getting a good effort from the defensive line. The offensive line seemed to come to play. I think both teams had like 7 penalties in the game, and the Jaguars won the football game. The Jacksonville Jaguars 27, the Arizona Cardinals 24, the final score in overtime. Parker Washington, we talked about him before the season started. Could this be, when we talked about players having a breakout year, Parker Washington is the guy that I identified, and I think I was right because he's getting a handful of touchdowns now. He's getting some big catches. Bear in mind, Brian Thomas Jr. still out with the ankle injury. Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, first-round draft pick, is out for the year. So now guys like Parker Washington, Tim Patrick, and Jacoby Myers, those are your top 3 wide receivers until Brian Thomas Jr. comes back. And Brian Thomas Jr. better watch some film because he needs to make those catches across the middle, or it's going to diminish. It's going to diminish, I guess, his productivity. That's my opinion. He still likes those sideline routes, the long routes toward the end zone, plays you can't really get hit on across the middle. That's just my thought on Brian Thomas Jr., who's out with an ankle injury. I'm assuming he'll be back soon. Want to thank Mad Max. Mad Max, I hope you're doing well. We added some, by the way, Max, I know you're a big Georgia Bulldog fan, and Max is originally from the Georgia area, and he lives near the Alabama-Georgia border up near where I lived a long time ago. And Max, I added some more Georgia high school football scores to the scoreboard now at bigjreport.com. We know about Ed White getting defeated in round 2. You know, when round 2 of the high school football playoffs come around, everybody won the first round game, and now they're moving to the second round game. Ed White got beat by, a tremendous, almost I'll call him a juggernaut of a team, St. Augustine. St. Augustine 44, my Ed White Commanders 12. So that was a blowout in the second round. Eufaula got knocked out, I believe, in the first round a couple of weeks back in Alabama, and I think they even start the playoffs maybe a week earlier in Alabama. And that score's up on the website, the date the game was played, the score. It was Williamson that knocked Eufaula, Alabama out of the playoffs. The Lakeside Chiefs did not make the playoffs. In that pocket of southeast Alabama that we follow, put some of those teams on our website. Of course, we've got the Jacksonville, Florida, Duval scores, North Florida, South and Western Georgia, and that pocket of southeast Alabama. We'll be adding some more of those scores as well. We're brought to you by the Mad Max Mix at Weebly.com. Check out Max's show this Wednesday night, and each Wednesday night from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the Mad Max Mix Weebly.com. I want one of you guys, and I know JC does his show on Thursday night. I want one of you guys to play Gordon Lightfoot Sundown for me. Can you play Gordon Lightfoot Sundown for me? Max, I love that song by the Atlanta Rhythm Section. Play him that Georgia Rhythm, the Atlanta Rhythm Section. Steely Dan, one of my favorite groups of all time. I saw Steely Dan back in 2013 at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Great show. Walter Becker was still living at that time, and obviously Donald Fagen, the leader. And actually, those were the two guys that put the band together and the music together, and they wanted near perfection, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. Walter Becker passed away actually back in 2017. But I was fortunate to see Steely Dan in 2013, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker both there on the stage performing, and I loved it. Steely Dan, great show back in about 2013 at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. The concert's coming up now in 2025. We got them up on the website. We even got some shows that'll be rolling in 2026 as well as part of, North Florida entertainment. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out JC live from the pub on Thursday nights. JC wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving from Lake Eufaula Hits. And make sure you check JC out. Check him out on Thursday nights. I know everybody's going to be real busy on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. But make sure you check JC out Thursday nights live from the pub. And any message JC gives you will be on LakeEufaulaHits.com, on the website, Lake Eufaula Hits, great internet radio, where it's all good. LakeEufaulaHits.com, great internet radio. JC's show live from the pub. And I'm requesting Gordon Lightfoot sundown for both of those shows. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com, and JC live from the pub on Thursday nights at LakeEufaulaHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Max gives you his phone number on his show on Wednesday nights, and you can call him, or better yet, text him to get your request on. JC has like a chat box up on the website at LakeEufaulaHits.com. Great, absolutely great internet radio. Where I'm privileged to be working with both of these guys on their internet radio entities. And, of course, Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. How about Cade Bell? Kerwin Bell's son is now the offensive coordinator for Division I Pitt Panthers. And Cade Bell in Pittsburgh beat Georgia Tech 42-28. Georgia Tech's no Podunk Junction. They're 9-2, and they'll play Georgia, and they may give Georgia everything they want in that final regular season game of the season. Georgia Tech didn't have any answers for the Pitt offense, and the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator is Cade Bell, the son of Western Carolina coach Kerwin Bell, who I would love to see the Florida Gators hire him as the head coach. And he's a long shot candidate, I know. Lane Kiffin going to LSU. He's going to be getting more money than Calvin Ridley ever got, right? Calvin got his $50 million guaranteed with the Tennessee Titans, and man, the Titans are like 1-10 now. So we appreciate you guys tuning into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Probably one of my favorite plays, and I'd love to watch ETN run. I really do. I love to watch ETN run. You get some short runs, some long runs. He got a 13-yard touchdown run against the Chargers. But my favorite play was probably a defensive play. One of my favorite guys, AJ, Antonio Johnson. 5th-round pick about 3 years ago out of Texas A&M, a steal in the draft for the Jaguars. And you don't see this all the time, but Antonio Johnson sacked the quarterback, Brissett, on a safety blitz. One of my favorite plays of the game. The Jaguars win that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars 27, Arizona Cardinals 24, final score. The DBs for the Jaguars, and thank goodness we got a lot of effort from the defensive line because that's helped win the game the last 2 weeks, as the Jags are now on a 2-game winning streak. The Jaguars have had a bit of a pass rush going. Trayvon Walker didn't even play in this game against the Cardinals. He's out. He's had a couple of different injuries this season. Had wrist surgery earlier in the year. I think now, I believe it's a knee issue now with Trayvon, but he did not play in the Arizona Cardinals victory that the Jaguars had. Jacksonville Jaguars 27. The Jacksonville Jaguars 27, the Arizona Cardinals 24, final score in overtime. But Josh Allen had a good game. He brought the effort, brought the intensity, but the DBs premiere the story. They kept everything in front of them. Late in the game, when Brissett's throwing up those balloon passes, they didn't make a mistake. There was good coverage. I got to give Antonio Johnson credit, Dewey Wingard, and Buster Brown, Monteric Brown, and who else was back there too? Jarius, Jarius, the kid out of Florida State. I always forget his name. What's his name? Jarius Jones, right? He played a great game, and he actually was questionable for this game. Jarius Jones. Man, he made some good big-time plays in this game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, Jarius Jones tried to pull his name up, and somebody else came up. Okay, so Jarius Jones, NFL football player, played well. He was kind of questionable to play in this game, but he played, and he played well. Um, as all the DBs were playing pretty well, actually. And I would say that that page we were trying to go on was an issue. Okay, so we're still up with the podcast. Okay, but you take a look at the guys, the defensive guys. What's the other kid's name? Braswell. I believe his name is Braswell with the Jaguars, and he played a pretty good game too. These are the guys. Um, Starting quarterback, or he's not. Brissett is a really good backup, man. They'd be in good shape to really keep him. I'm having some issues with the internet. Bear with me. We're still on. To my knowledge, we're 16 minutes in. Special thanks to our sponsors, the MadMaxMix.Woodley.com, Max's great internet radio show on Wednesday nights, JC show on Thursday nights live from the pub with JC at LakeyFallHits.com, great internet radio. And for your real estate needs, you know about Saucer Realty and Capital. Whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate in North Florida and surrounding areas. Go to our website. You'll find links for Saucer Realty and Capital on our homepage near the North Florida weather reports. And in the Neighbors 2 section near our concert area, you will absolutely find links for Mad Max's show, the MadMaxMix.Weebly.com, and JC's Live from the Pub show on Thursday nights, live from the pub on Thursday nights with JC on LakeyFallHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. What is that kid's name? Braswell, that plays defensive back for the Jaguars. He played well. So did Jarius Jones, the second-year kid. I believe he's a second-year guy out of Florida State, third-round draft pick a couple of years ago. So the DBs and Buster Brown, Monteric Brown, man, he played some good ball too. Man, I love the DBs, and they have traded, as you know, they did trade Tyson Campbell, and I think it was more of a salary cap move. But the Jaguars got a lot of really talented DBs that they've got in late rounds. I know Jarius Jones, the kid out of Florida State, he was a third-round pick, a couple of years ago. But Monteric Brown is a player that was drafted much later. I think Monteric Brown was like a sixth-round pick, I believe, sixth or seventh-round pick. And I like the guy. Plays very good cover guy at cornerback. And the Jaguars have had some injuries at defensive back, but these young guys, even the late round picks, have provided a lot of depth. And I'm very comfortable with the defensive backs. Love watching them play. The whole thing with the Jaguars defense has been, is the defensive line going to bring the house, bring the effort? And they have the last two games. So that's some of what's going on with the Jaguars. Huge win. Jacksonville Jaguars 27, Arizona Cardinals 24, the final score. We got some more high school football scores up on the website, Max. Scroll the homepage at bigjreport.com. Concerts in the Neighbors 2 area on the website at bigjreport.com. Let me see if we can pull up some NFL scores. The Raiders are terrible. The Jaguars beat them by 1 point in overtime in Las Vegas. The Raiders are not very good. The Jaguars beat them, but man, it would have been tragedy if the Jaguars had a loss that game. Thank goodness Devon Hamilton stuck up a mitt and deflected the 2-point conversion pass by the Raiders in that game in overtime. The Las Vegas Raiders apparently have fired offensive coordinator Chip Kelly after the latest poor offensive showing in the loss to Cleveland. We're going to attempt to bring up some NFL scores. Buffalo, sadly for our executive producer, JC, Buffalo lost on Thursday night to Houston. And again, Jaguars fans are, I mean, let's face it, the Jaguars are not rooting for the Houston Texans. The Jaguars have already completed their 2 games with Houston, and the Jaguars have split the games with Houston. The big comeback by Houston in that game still is going to stick in our side all year long. But the 2 overtime wins, maybe that makes up for it in a small or medium-sized way. I'm looking at some highlights. Parker Washington with a great catch down around the sidelines in overtime. ETN, got a couple of 3-4 yards here and there. And the Jaguars win the game in overtime, 27-24. We're kind of powered by StreamYard, and we made a few changes with our podcast. And since we have the quality, we're not getting the volume blips as much in and out. Made a few changes. I think StreamYard's made some improvements. And we got some NFL scores to check for you right now. Baltimore Ravens, you got their quarterback back, and they're playing better football. Baltimore Ravens 23, New York Jets 10 final. Chicago Bears started out 0-2, and now they've only lost 1 game since the second week of the season. Chicago Bears 31, Pittsburgh Steelers 28. Gosh, the New England Patriots drafting offensive linemen, the quarterback's improving, and all of a sudden New England's like 10-2. I saw New England get a big interception pick on the Cincinnati quarterback. New England won the game. New England 26, Cincinnati 20. New England Patriots 26, Cincinnati Bengals 20. Offensive show between Detroit and the Giants. Detroit 34, the New York Giants 27, the final. And it was Green Bay all day. Green Bay held Minnesota. The Green Bay defense held Minnesota to 6 points. Green Bay 23, Minnesota 6. And a very good thing happened. Kansas City beat the Indianapolis Colts 23-20. Kansas City 23, Indianapolis Colts 20. The Jaguars winning in overtime and the Colts losing by 3 points. Now the Jaguars are only 1 game out of first place. The Colts find themselves at 8-3. They've had a good year so far. Daniel Jones, their quarterback, but they came up short against the Chiefs in Kansas City. They still call that place Arrowhead Stadium. Man, that place looks like it's when that stadium gets loud in Kansas City, it looks like it looks like the stadium is moving or something. So it's always looked like that to me. Kansas City Chiefs 23, Indianapolis Colts 20. The Titans got beat, and the Titans are 1-10. But maybe a scary team down the stretch. The Jaguars still have to play 2 games against the Titans, 2 games against the Indianapolis Colts where they can make some hay against the Colts. If they play with, they limit the mistakes, the Jaguars can probably beat almost anybody. Seattle 30, Tennessee Titans 24, Jacksonville Jaguars 27, Arizona Cardinals 24. Let me give you that score again. The Seattle Seahawks 30, Tennessee Titans 24. Seattle's got a good football team. They really do. Jacksonville 27, Arizona Cardinals 24. Cleveland Brownies, I think Shadur Sanders played quarterback, so they're probably happy with him. They won the game. Cleveland 24, the Cleveland Browns 24, the Las Vegas Raiders 10. Raiders only scoring 10 points in that game, and we understand they fired their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, who at one time was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he was the head coach with the 49ers for a brief time. And, of course, we all know about, he was the head coach at Oregon and UCLA. Where else did he coach in college? I mean, he's been around for quite a while now. I wonder if this is going to be the final stop, unless Chip wants to. There's a lot of college football openings, and there could be a college out there that say, hey, we'll give Chip a chance at the college level. We'll see what happens. But he got fired as the offensive coordinator. His story is going to be, man, I'd rather be in college if he still wants to coach. He's made a lot of money. A game that surprised me, I'm watching the scoreboard. Philadelphia has a 21-7 lead over Dallas. Dallas came back and won the game. Dallas 24, Philadelphia Eagles 21. The Atlanta Falcons played better on Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons 24, New Orleans Saints 10. The Sunday night game, the LA Rams put 34 points on Tampa Bay. So they're doing it against other teams too. LA Rams 34, LA Rams 34, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7, the final score. Did I hit all the scores? New England 26, Cincinnati 20. New England now is 10-2. Chicago Bears beat Pittsburgh. Chicago Bears 31, Pittsburgh Steelers 28. Baltimore Ravens 23, New York Jets 10. Again, the Baltimore Ravens 23, the New York Jets 10. The Thursday night game, Houston, the Texans beat Buffalo, was actually 23-19. And my quarterback in fantasy football, JC, you know who it is. It's a Buffalo quarterback, the Buffalo Josh Allen. And he had a subpar week in fantasy. But I looked at the fantasy football scoreboard. I still got a chance to win my game, though. And I was 3-6 in the Teal Shirt Report football fantasy football league, in the Teal Shirt League, as it's called by some, the Teal Shirt League. I was 3-6. I've won 2 in a row, and I still got a shot of winning this one. That could be 3 fantasy football wins in a row, JC. Check our fantasy football league. I'm 5-6. If somehow, some way, I can win after the Monday night game, and we're sitting here on Tuesday morning, and I win a third straight fantasy game, man, I don't know. When I was 3-6, my fantasy football team in the Teal Shirt League, I said, man, I got to run the table. I got to finish. It's a 14-game regular season. I got to go 8-6. Trevor Lawrence was 18 out of 30 passing, 256 yards, 3 interceptions, a fumble. Trevor got some touchdown passes in the game as well, but not the greatest game. Trevor made mistakes, and that's not protecting the football. It's really not. So the Jaguars, we must say they were fortunate to win. Offensively, they couldn't do what they did against the Chargers. I mean, the Jaguars offense really locked down the victory, especially with the Travis Etienne 13-yard touchdown run to go up 35-6 over the Chargers. This time the offense could not knock down the win. The defense saved them in the overtime. The Jaguars kicked a field goal, and then Arizona came down the field. All they needed was another field goal to tie it up again, and they couldn't quite get in field goal range. And then they had to go for it on 4th down, and Brissett threw up kind of a balloon pass, and the Jags seemed like down the stretch in the fourth quarter and even in the overtime, they'd have 2 guys on 1 receiver, 3 guys on 2 receivers. I really liked the way the defensive backs played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I really did. And remember, you can check our high school football scoreboard. Go to the homepage and scroll. There's stuff about the Jaguars in the very beginning of the homepage, but you just keep scrolling down. You'll find the high school football scores for Jacksonville, Duval County, North Florida, some South Georgia and Western Georgia scores up there, and we're adding high school football playoff scores all the time to the website, so check it out. Some good concerts coming up. Beach Boys will be in Ponte Vedra at that Ponte Vedra. What do they call that place? Let me see if I can pull up the website and take a look at some of the concerts coming up. JC Foreigner is coming in 2026. Lou Graham will be with Foreigner. So will Night Ranger, as I understand it. The website is coming up. I've had some problems with some sites coming up. The website is coming up. I think we went around the entire NFL with the scores from Sunday, November the 23rd, even the Sunday night game. Rams, a big winner over Tampa Bay. I think now we're going to actually pull up some concerts. And you can go to our concert area too. Man, JC takes great photos. And they're on the Neighbors 2 section from the Bonnaroo shows from a few years ago. We got a lot of photos up there in the Neighbors 2 section. There's some surprising photos up there too. Okay, we're on the Neighbors 2 section at BigJReport.com. Let me pull up the concert area. Here we go. Latest concerts coming up. Ponte Vedra Concert Hall in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Queensryche. Have you heard of them, JC? I almost forgot. They're going to be at the Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida venue. We all know Leonard Skinner did perform back on Saturday, November the 8th of 2025 at Daly's Place next to the stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, right next to Everbank Stadium. Queensryche. You know, they had that heavy metal style. I think they were more of a heavy metal band back probably in the 80s, and they're still touring. Queensryche performing on Friday night, November the 28th. Heck, that's coming up this Friday night, right? Queensryche performing this Friday night, November the 28th of 2025 at the Ponte Vedra. Can you imagine that? In the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. They're going to have heavy metal music from the 80s, right? Queensryche performing this Friday night, November the 28th of 2025 at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Molly Hatchet in concert. No original members left. Danny Joe Brown sadly passed away many, many moons ago. Dave Lubeck, I believe, passed away in 2017, the world-class guitar player for Molly Hatchet. Now, the guys in the band now, some of those guys have been in there a long time, but there's no original members. But they'll be playing all the old songs. You know, Gator Country, Bounty Hunter, Mad Max Play, Dreams I'll Never See by Molly Hatchet on his show last Wednesday night. Great song, Max. Great. I appreciate you. I think you sent that one out to me. We used to listen to that on the jukebox at Sonny's Barbecue on the west side. Molly Hatchet in concert on Saturday night, November the 29th of 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. This one will be at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall as well in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. They've been getting some good shows out there. I'm not very familiar with Liam St. John, but also Liam St. John performing at Jackrabbits Live in the San Marco area in Jacksonville, Florida on Friday night, December the 12th of 2025. At 8 o'clock p.m. at Jackrabbits Live. That's in the San Marco area on the south side of Jacksonville, Florida. Another great event, tickets for Mickey Dolenz, if you can find one. Tickets for Mickey Dolenz, the last surviving member of the Monkees. Wouldn't it be great to see this, and even possibly some of these shows at the Florida Theater, sometimes you get a chance to meet them, meet the performers before the concert. I met Kenny G. He signed a concert ticket for me. Great guy. Puts on a really good show. Saw him around the holidays several years ago. Tickets for Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees Songs and Stories at the Florida Theater on December the 5th of 2025 are on sale now while they last. Tickets going on sale now for the Beach Boys, who will be in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall on January the 26th of 2025. All of a sudden, the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall is getting a lot of shows. Also, Carla Bonoff, probably best known for her big hit back in the mid-'80s, the early to mid-'80s. Carla Bonoff had a song called Personally. Great song. JC and Max, I know both of you guys have heard of Carla Bonoff. Carla Bonoff will be performing on Saturday, February the 7th of 2026 at 8 o'clock p.m. That's Carla Bonoff at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Also, Foreigner with Lou Gramm and Night Ranger at the St. Augustine Amphitheater in St. Augustine, Florida on Friday night, April the 17th of 2026 at 7:30 p.m. I don't have the Journey show listed on the concert listings yet in the Neighbors 2 section, but they got a show coming up later in 2026 that we'll have up on the concert listings as well. Journey is going to be going on a big tour in 2026, and that should be pretty good. But that's really the latest as far as concerts and the venues where the shows are going to be. Who's going to be the new head coach of the Florida Gators? Man, your comments are welcome. Give us a thumbs up on our YouTube channel. Comments about the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars overtime victory over Arizona, 27-24 in overtime. Any comments you have about college football? There's a lot of rumors. The rumor mill is shaking. It really is. Lane Kiffin looks like he's going to get $90 million or more. It's going to be $90 million and a little bit more than that with everything included. It could be, I've heard anywhere from a 7 to 10 year deal, but nothing's official quite yet because Lane Kiffin is going to coach the Egg Bowl, and then we'll know everything right after the Egg Bowl. I keep hearing the Tulane coach is going to Auburn. If you guys have heard something different, let me know. I heard a rumor that DeBoer could leave Alabama after 2 years. He had a pretty good season this year. Alabama's 8-2. They get ready for the Iron Bowl against Auburn. But Alabama had a couple of losses where they lost to Oklahoma by 2 points. They lost to Florida State on the very first game of the season way back in late August. And maybe DeBoer just doesn't want that Alabama pressure. I mean, he's looking in the back mirror at, man, Bear Bryant coached here. Nick Saban coached here. Could Kalen DeBoer, his first name's Kalen, right? Could Kalen DeBoer take off for like a Penn State? And then who would Alabama hire? Would they all of a sudden say, man, we might get into the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Lane likes money. Here's another $5 million on top of what LSU'd give you. Could anything crazy like that happen? Or, but this guy I'm talking about, Dabo Swinney at Clemson, could he go to Alabama? He's highly thought of by Alabama, but he hasn't really embraced the NIL or probably even the transfer portal that much. Like a lot of us, JC, our executive producers, not a big fan of what's going on in college football as far as the direction that it's going. ESPN, who basically owns college football, what they want are good games. That's all they're concerned about. They're concerned about good games, power conferences, changing the conferences around to suit their needs. For years, they've controlled the kickoff times. That's going way, way back, years ago. But my concern is, who does Florida hire? They're not going to get Kiffin. The Tulane coach, I think Florida was going to have a meeting with the Tulane coach, and they must have got to word he's interested in going to Auburn, or he's going to get the Auburn job. And if Auburn is going to give him the job, why would he have the interview with Florida? I think they were getting close to having some kind of an interview at Florida with the brass. But I believe the Tulane season is still going on, right? I don't know who Tulane's got coming up on the schedule. But he's been successful there, and it looks like he may, according to the rumor mill, looks like the Tulane coach may go to Auburn. Kiffin probably is going to go to LSU for the big money, over $90 million. Does DeBoer stay at Alabama? And the Missouri coach has been successful, but, man, he's had a couple of weeks in a row where Oklahoma beat him, Texas A&M beat Drinkwitz at Missouri. At Missouri, Texas A&M blasted them by, I think, at least 2 touchdowns or more. So do you want, Florida fans, do you want Eli Drinkwitz? Missouri's 7-4 now. I keep bringing up Kerwin Bell's name, and every time I do in social media, I get a lot of likes. They like that name. Former Florida Gator quarterback. He's won everywhere he's been a head coach. But he's coached at the small schools, JU, but he won a national championship at Valdosta State, a place where Mike Leach used to be an assistant coach over Hal Mumme years ago. I keep turning to Kerwin Bell. I think it's time. If Scott Strickland, he's in a difficult situation. But if you pick up the phone and call Western Carolina and say, we'd like to have permission to talk to Kerwin. We know he's under contract. Obviously, Western Carolina knows Florida could, buy his deal out pretty easily. And who would Western Carolina hire? They might just hire the guy that's a Pittsburgh offensive coordinator, Kerwin Bell's son, who's the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh, and they just beat Georgia Tech 42-28. And Georgia Tech is 9-2. And they're getting ready to play Georgia in their final regular season game. And Georgia Tech's going to go to a bowl game. And it looks like Cade Bell, Kerwin's son's doing a good job as offensive coordinator. And I would bet a basket of apples. How about those apples? I'd bet a basket of apples that Kerwin Bell has taught his son the offense. Would you like to have the master offensive guy, Kerwin Bell, coaching the Florida Gators, a guy that played quarterback at Florida? So the job is going to mean much more to him than most anybody else. That's just my 10 cents today. Maybe 25 cents, right, JC? Aren't two heads better than one? Just my opinion, because, right now with no Lane Kiffin, he's going to LSU. Florida had ponied up like $87 million, I heard from Buddy Martin and Franz Beard. That's the number they were putting out there several weeks ago. Could it be LSU just ponied up more? And that's what's the most important thing for one Lane Kiffin. I mean, he could go to the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins as a GM/coach. Lane Kiffin is going to cash in. He's not going to stay at Ole Miss. If he stays at Ole Miss, I give him credit. If he has a change of heart during the Egg Bowl. But he could. Anything's possible. DeBoer could leave Alabama, go to Penn State, and then all of a sudden Alabama said, we want Lane Kiffin. Man, it's crazy. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. JC, I know we're 41 minutes in, but I felt like we had a lot of good stuff. Jaguars win. Jacksonville Jaguars have won a couple of games in overtime. They beat the Raiders in overtime a few weeks ago. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars have improved to 7-4. The Jacksonville Jaguars 27. The Arizona Cardinals 24. A final in overtime. I tell you what, we'll take a look at the stats. I told you about some of my favorite plays, like Antonio Johnson with a big safety blitz sack. On the next podcast, this is episode show number 68. JC, do you remember who wore 68 for the Jaguars years ago? His brother Zane Beatles. I met him in Nocatee. I think he signed my mini helmet for me. Jason Kraft, former defensive back with the Jaguars, was there with him. Zane Beatles wore 68. And, after that, there was another offensive lineman. I'm trying to think of the kid's name that came from Washington and played guard for the Jaguars a few years now. I think he's out of the league now, but he was a pretty decent player for a while. And then I guess they had to kind of replace him. Maybe his skills were diminishing as an offensive lineman. The Jags could have drafted some offensive linemen. They did not. They were hunting up Travis Hunter, who's now hurt. But you got some pretty able wide receivers playing with Trevor right now. Trevor's got to limit the mistakes. We'll take a look at all the stats. I want to really get into the stats on the next podcast. This has been episode show number 68. We'll do 69's a great number, right? You guys like 69? That's a great number. And we'll have episode show number 69 next time around. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. The audio version's doing great too. We're a little bit further behind on the audio version of the podcast, but it's a great chance to review what we've done, what's been happening. And JC, the listens are still racking up on the audio version and, of course, on YouTube as well. Who will the Florida Gators hire as their new head football coach? Are there going to be any surprises with this coaching carousel at the last minute? Is anything I'm saying wrong? If you disagree with me, please put it in the comments. And what happened to Big Bill's Philadelphia Eagles? They were winning 21-7, and somehow, some way, the Cowboys came back and won that game 24-21. That was a big surprise to me on Sunday. Jacksonville Jaguars 27, Arizona Cardinals 24, final in overtime. Quite frankly, the Jaguars never should have let the game get to overtime. They should have won the thing in regulation. That's my take. This is Scott. You've been listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 68. We're brought to you by the MadMaxMix.weebly.com, Lake Eufaula Hits, and JC's live from the pub show on Thursday nights, and Salsa Realty in Capital. For your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, you can find links for Salsa Realty on our homepage near our North Florida weather reports. Right now, it's a 59 cool degrees. 59 cool degrees on this Monday morning, November the 24th. High temperature on this Thanksgiving week. High temperature is going to get up to about 81 today. Still supposed to be dry on Monday. I'm hearing maybe a little bit of rain toward Wednesday or Thursday with Thanksgiving coming up. You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We've been eloquently produced by JC, also by Alex Nunnery. JC's our executive producer. Alex Nunnery helps us a lot too. And want to thank our contributor and correspondent to the Teal Shirt Report podcast and BigJReport.com. Want to thank John Gaylor, our contributor and correspondent. This has been episode show number 68. I'm your host. I'm actually your host, Scott. And man, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast on this Monday, November the 24th of 2025. Have a great day. Go Jags. Duval. Jags are 7-4, baby.